cryptid aura tier list. All right, cryptids are essentially creatures that people think could be real, but there's no like real scientific evidence to back up their existence. So essentially, scientific creepypastas. Anyways, let's get it. Let's start. Let's get in this by starting with the most popular and well-known cryptid, which is Bigfoot. All right, Bigfoot. Most sightings of him are around the American forest, more specifically in the Pacific Northwest, and essentially he's just a big monkey. All right, and essentially he has no aura. All right, he is overloved in media. There are so many different off-brand versions of him, like the Yeti or the skunk ape in Florida. It's just Bigfoot is not cool at all. I don't care what you say. Bigfoot is a E tier cryptid, all right? There are so many other cool designs on this list that just like make Bigfoot seem like a 5-year-old created Bigfoot. Well, I don't know, a genius created everyone's. Like Bigfoot just sucks so much, dude. If you like Bigfoot, there's something wrong with you. And if your name's John, you can go ahead and argue with me in the comments down below. But anyways, let's move on with most likely the second most well-known cryptid. And that is Nessie, or the Loch Ness Monster from Scotland, alright? Essentially, there's this lake, and they think Nessie, which kind of looks like a plesiosaur, Not a dinosaur, a marine reptile, actually. But essentially, Nessie, if anything is in there, they just kind of think Nessie's just like an extinct dinosaur, but it is cool. But there are more cooler things on this list than Nessie, so I'm gonna have to put Nessie in C tier. Actually, hold on. I'm about to get cooked. We're gonna put Nessie in B tier. All right, now Nessie's cool, but Nessie is overplayed. It's kind of the same thing as Bigfoot. There's so like Champ. All right, Champ is like one of the Great Lakes. All right, it's where Champ's from, and it's just a different version of Nessie, different version of Loch Ness Monster. That's just, I mean, if you overplay the cryptid that much, it's just not cool no more, all right? Next up is the Chupacabra, all right? Now, these dudes were first sighted in Puerto Rico, all right? And essentially, all right, there's these farmers, and they're not cattle, their livestock were being killed and had the blood being sucked out of them. So kind of freaky, but I don't know. It's essentially, it's like a coyote or a wolf. Sometimes it's described as reptilian, but mostly it's a coyote or a wolf who just comes in and kills and sucks the blood from creatures. Now that's kind of cool. But at the same time, for a cryptid, that's just like, it could just literally just be a random coyote, So we're gonna have to put that in C tier. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to put Chupacabra in C tier. Next up, though, is the one, the only, the Mothman. Automatically S tier. Automatically an S tier cryptid. All right. First off, a little backstory. It was found in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. All right, in like the 60s. It's described as a large winged creature, or like figure or whatever, with glowing red eyes. Sometimes it's drawn as humanoid. Sometimes it's drawn as like a moth-like. Could be both, but it's essentially the Mothman. All right, and if you know about cryptids, you definitely know about Mothman. Well, maybe if you're like into cryptids, you know Mothman. Mothman is kind of the GOAT, alright? Not kind, it is the GOAT. I mean, there's like a whole museum in Point Pleasant dedicated to Mothman. That's just aura on its own. Not only are you some giant moth creature thing, instead of like some kind of coyote, or a giant ape, or a dinosaur. You're just a moth human person. That's pretty cool. That's aura. All right, you can't argue with that. That is aura. All right, next up is the Jersey Devil. Now, the Jersey Devil is, I mean, obviously it's from New Jersey. That's where sightings of it are found, and it's the backstory essentially is that it's the unwanted 13th child of a woman called Mother Leeds. So essentially, I mean, it has the face of a horse, the head of a dog with deer antlers, and the body of a kangaroo, or something like that. It just look at this. I mean, look at this. That has no aura whatsoever. That is F tier. I don't care what that thing can do to you. If I saw that thing coming towards me, I would literally just, I wouldn't be threatened at all. I literally would like, that thing has no aura whatsoever, all right? If that, I don't care what that thing did. It doesn't matter. This thing has no aura. All right, it doesn't matter what backstory it has. It doesn't, look at this thing. Look at this thing and tell me it has aura, all right? Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Next up, we have a very interesting cryptid, and it's the Flatwoods Monster, also from West Virginia, but essentially, the residents of the town saw a bright light cross the sky, you know, fly across or whatever, and then they saw a tall humanoid creature with like a spade-ish shaped head, you know, glowing eyes, and a metallic appearance, all that kind of jazz. Now, low key, pretty cool. Also, not only this also has a museum dedicated to it, which I'm assuming most of these might have a museum dedicated to them, but we're gonna skip over that fact. This is pretty cool, all right? And like, it's essentially, it could be like an alien. Oh, oops. It could be essentially be an alien, you know, some kind of alien in a suit, or it could not be real. It could also be that. But that is pretty cool on its own. It is a unique and interesting cryptid, you know. So for that reason, we're gonna put it in A tier. Also, it was like a mom and her boys went and saw it, you know. Like there's like so much backstory about all these cryptids. If you want me to go in depth, you know, get this video, you know what? Get this video to 100 likes, and I'll do like a cryptid lore drop, whatever, you know. Like I'll go deep into depth about the cryptids and all of their backstory and all that jazz. But anyways, let's continue on our list though with our next cryptid. Even though some people argue that it isn't a cryptid, but it's popular enough. Is the Wendigo, all right? Now the Wendigo is, there's many different interpretations of it, so there's not like one set in stone. But if you think of Wendigo, you either think of the YouTuber or you think of this. All right, now it's essentially like a giant cannibalistic beast or whatever, and essentially it's like a spirit or monster or whatever that possesses humans and turns them into like cannibalistic beings, you know. So that is pretty cool. It's essentially like some kind of spirit or whatever. I could be butchering this. Forgive me if I am, but it's essentially a spirit or whatever that takes over a human and becomes cannibalistic. I'm pretty sure this exactly isn't it, but it's an evil spirit, all right? It's an evil spirit creature. It's S tier. I can't even lie. All right, it is S tier. Next up on our list is the Loveland Frogman. Origins of this were like the origins, birthplace, or whatever was in Ohio, Loveland, Ohio. Of course, a giant frog. Essentially there were claims in like the 50s or 60s, whatever, that there was giant bipedal frog-like creatures in the water. Is that aura? The giant frog? Is that aura? Be honest with yourself. That is not aura. It is cooler than Bigfoot, alright? I'd be a lot more terrified if I just saw the Loveland frog walking around, you know, than Bigfoot. Because Bigfoot could just be a guy in a suit. Well, I guess this can too, but still. So yeah, we're going to put the Loveland, I mean, it's just a bipedal frog. I don't think you need me to explain the appearance of that, but that's what the Loveland Frogman is, and it is going in D tier. Next up on our list is Bunyip. Now, what the fuck is Bunyip? All right, it's from Australia. If Australia couldn't somehow get even worse, Bunyip apparently exists there. Now, it's described as a monstrous amphibious beast, you know, as seen by the picture, and generally described as having a round head, an elongated neck, and a body resembling an ox, hippopotamus, or a manatee. And sometimes, you know, it has a hairy body. So, yeah. Bunyip. If you see the picture I'm showing you on the screen right now, this thing has... Okay. It has the same aura as Bigfoot. Alright. If I saw that thing walking towards me, I'd actually freak out. You know what? It has more aura than Bigfoot. We're gonna put Bunyip in D tier, alright? If it was anywhere else, then it would have aura. But since it's in Australia, it's like, it's just your everyday walk in the park animal. So That's not why it's in D tier, but you get what I'm saying. Next up is Mokele Mbembe. All right, I definitely butchered that, but it's essentially an extinct dinosaur, sightings of which have been found in the Congo, like the Congo River Basin. It's really just an extinct dinosaur, like an extinct sauropod dinosaur. I mean, it's, be honest, for a cryptid, it doesn't have that much aura. All right, it's just an extinct dinosaur. So, I mean, we're just gonna leave it at that. It's just an extinct dinosaur, does not have that much aura. Moving on. Next up is a relatively new cryptid of a Fresno Nightcrawler from Fresno, but essentially, in the most simplistic way possible, they're a pair of white pants that just walk around. Again, they're just white walking pants, but I will give them credit. They are kind of like, if I saw this in my backyard, I'd be a lot more freaked out than if I saw Bigfoot. I'm not gonna lie, especially at nighttime. But it doesn't have that much aura. We're gonna have to put it in C tier. All right, Fresno Nightcrawler in C tier. Next up is the Jackalope. It's essentially a rabbit with antlers. Now, this is popular. Most people know about this, but does it have aura? If you saw this in your backyard, you'd be like, oh, wow, that's really cool. But does it have aura? I don't know. I don't think so. I would. Yeah, it doesn't have that much aura. It's just a rabbit with horns. So we're going to put it in E tier. All right. Next up is Mongolian death worm. All right. Now, this, I mean, it's just a giant red death worm. But low key, everyone knows about death worms, all right? And for a while, I actually thought this thing was real, all right? I mean, it seems like it could exist. It seems like it can exist. And it's like not really talked about as a cryptid, it's just talked about as like a real thing, but like it is just a giant death worm. But to give it credit, we're honestly gonna have to put it in D tier, all right? Because it would definitely have more aura than like, okay, low-key, hold on, I'm doing this thing. Yeah, it has less aura than a pair of white pants. Yeah, we're gonna put the Mongolian death worm in D tier. And of course, obviously, it's originated from Mongolia. Next up is the Dover Demon, all right? A cryptid from Massachusetts. Obviously, Dover, Massachusetts, but it's essentially the lore behind this one is that a bunch of teenagers in like the 70s found it, you know, described as having a pale bipedal body, you know, slender body, a long slender body. There we go. You know, a large oval shaped head with glowing eyes. You know, essentially, it's just an alien. In the base of it, it's just an alien that they found walking around. The thing is, one of the cool things is that 3 separate teenagers reported seeing the creature within like a 26-hour period, 24-hour period, somewhere along those lines. When, you know, the 70s. So that, I mean, different people telling that they saw this thing, that's kind of weird. That is kind of weird. Now, maybe it was like a hairless dog or something, but still, if I saw a hairless dog, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, that's an alien. No, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's a hairless dog. So low key, we're gonna put in B tier. All right, we're gonna put in B tier. All right, 3, 2, 1, back. Last on our list is the Thunderbird. All right, now these dudes, I don't know if these dudes are talked about a lot, but they're essentially giant winged animals. I mean, but the cool thing about them is that they're believed to like control the weather. You know, like their wings can cause thunder. Obviously, it's in the name, and lightning, all that jazz. So, in like Native American mythology, they were described as they were thought to control the weather and all that jazz. Hence the name Thunderbird. But the cool thing is that these things might have actually like existed, because there were giant birds, like giant prehistoric birds back in the day and stuff. So this thing could have existed, and for that, we're low key gonna have to put a Thunderbird. We're gonna put it in C tier, all right? Because at the end of the day, it is just like a giant bird. Well, actually, hold up. We're gonna put in B tier, all right? The Thunderbird is really cool, and it's like not talked about enough. So we're gonna put the Thunderbird in B tier, all right? All right, and with that, we have our completed tier list, all right, of about 15 of the most popular, famous cryptids, blah, blah, blah. All right. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and like and subscribe. All right. So you never miss another video. And if you have any video ideas, obviously comment them down below. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. But in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.